My brother's fiancée sent me to the ER. And he still chose her. I used to believe that no matter what happened in life, my brother would always stand beside me. We weren't just brothers, we were everything to each other. Growing up, we shared the same room, the same struggles, the same dreams. When life got hard, we leaned on each other. When something went wrong, we fixed it together. That's why what happened that night didn't just hurt me. It destroyed something I thought could never break. It was a quiet evening when I decided to visit him. I remember standing outside his house for a moment before knocking, feeling a strange hesitation in my chest. I couldn't explain it at the time, but something didn't feel right. Still, I ignored it. Don't overthink, I told myself. He opened the door with a smile. Hey! You finally came, he said, pulling me into a quick hug. For a moment, everything felt normal again. Until I saw her. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She barely looked up when I walked in. No smile. No greeting. Just a quick glance, and then back to her screen. That was the first moment I felt it, that invisible wall between us. Come, sit, my brother said, trying to keep things light. I sat down across from her, forcing a polite smile. How have you been? I asked. She shrugged slightly. Fine. One word. Cold. Flat. Distant. I looked at my brother, hoping he'd notice the tension, but he didn't. Or maybe he chose not to. We talked for a while, mostly about random things, work, life, small updates. But every time I spoke, I could feel her watching me, judging me. It made me uncomfortable. But I stayed quiet. For him. Then it happened. A simple topic came up, something about family decisions. I shared my opinion casually, not thinking much of it. That's when she suddenly snapped. You always do this, she said sharply. I blinked, confused. Do what? Act like your opinion matters more than everyone else's. Her tone was aggressive. Now. The room went silent. My brother shifted uncomfortably. Hey, it's not that serious. But she cut him off. No, it is serious. He's always like this. I felt my chest tighten. I'm not trying to start anything, I said calmly. I was just talking. But she leaned forward, her eyes filled with anger. Then maybe you should learn when to stay quiet. Something inside me snapped a little. Not anger, but disbelief. I looked at my brother. He didn't say anything. That hurt more than her words. I think you're misunderstanding me, I said, still trying to stay calm. But she stood up suddenly. No. I understand you perfectly. Her voice was louder now. More intense. You think you can just come here and act like you own everything. That's not true, I replied, my voice firmer now. But it didn't matter. She had already made up her mind. The argument escalated faster than I expected. Words turned sharp. Voices got louder. And in that moment, it stopped being a conversation. It became a confrontation. Maybe you shouldn't come here anymore, she said. That sentence hit me hard. I looked at my brother again. Still nothing. No defense. No support. Just silence. Is that what you want too? I asked him quietly. He hesitated. That hesitation said everything. And then everything changed. She stepped closer to me. Too close. I could feel the tension in the air. This is my home now, she said coldly. And I decide who belongs here. Before I could respond, she pushed me. Hard. I didn't even have time to react. My body stumbled backward. My foot slipped. And then impact. The sound of my body hitting the floor echoed in my ears. Pain exploded through me. Sharp. Sudden. Overwhelming. My head hit something, I don't even know what. Everything started spinning. I tried to move. But I couldn't. My body felt heavy. Numb. Broken. The last thing I remember was looking up and seeing my brother standing there. Watching. Not moving. Not helping. Then everything went black. The message that broke me. When I opened my eyes, everything felt distant. Blurry lights hovered above me. The ceiling looked unfamiliar, too white, too bright. A faint beeping sound echoed somewhere nearby, steady and cold. For a moment, I didn't understand where I was. Then the pain hit. A deep, crushing pain spread through my body, pulling me back into reality. My chest tightened as I tried to move, but even the smallest motion sent sharp waves through me. I let out a quiet groan. That's when someone rushed toward me. "You're awake," a voice said gently. A nurse. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried concern. She adjusted something beside me, checking the machines connected to my body. "Try not to move too much," she added softly. I swallowed, my throat dry. "Where am I?" "You're in the hospital," she replied. "You had a bad fall." A fall. The word echoed in my mind. And just like that, everything came rushing back. The argument. Her anger. The push. The impact. My brother. Standing there. Doing nothing. My chest tightened, not from the injury this time, but from something deeper. Something heavier. "How long have I been here?" I asked. "A few hours," she said. "You're lucky. It could have been worse." Lucky. That word again. But lying there, alone in that quiet hospital room, I didn't feel lucky. I felt empty. After the nurse left, silence filled the room again. No voices. No footsteps. Just the steady sound of the monitor, reminding me I was still alive. I turned my head slightly, wincing from the pain, and looked around. No one. No flowers. No family. My eyes shifted to the small table beside me. My phone was there. For a moment, I just stared at it. Then slowly, with trembling fingers, I reached for it. Nothing. No missed calls. No messages. A strange feeling settled in my chest. Confusion, mixed with something else I didn't want to admit. "He must not know," I whispered to myself. "He'll come." I held on to that thought like it was the only thing keeping me steady. Because the alternative was too painful to accept. Time passed slowly. Minutes felt like hours. Every second stretched, heavy and suffocating. I kept checking my phone again and again. Still nothing. Then finally, it buzzed. My heart jumped. For a moment, everything else disappeared. The pain. The silence. The fear. None of it mattered. Because in that moment, I believed. He came through. I grabbed the phone quickly, my fingers shaking. His name was on the screen. My brother. A small sense of relief washed over me. Finally, I whispered. I opened the message. And just like that, everything inside me shattered. "Stay away from us." That was it. One sentence. Cold. Sharp. Final. I stared at the screen, my mind refusing to process what I was reading. It didn't make sense. It couldn't. I read it again. And again. And again. But the words didn't change. No, "Are you okay?" No, "What happened?" No concern. No care. No love. Just distance. Just rejection. My grip on the phone loosened slightly as my hand fell back onto the bed. My chest felt tight. Like I couldn't breathe properly. This hurt more than the fall. More than the injury. More than anything. Because pain from the body fades. But this was something else. This was betrayal. I closed my eyes, trying to block it out. Trying to convince myself it wasn't real. But the message was still there. Burned into my mind. How could he? I whispered. How could my own brother? The person I trusted the most. The person I grew up with. The person I would have done anything for. Turn his back on me like this? And the worst part? He didn't even ask what happened. He chose her. Without question. Without doubt. Without hesitation. A tear slipped down the side of my face. I didn't even try to stop it. Because in that moment, I realized something I never wanted to believe. I wasn't just hurt that night. I was replaced. Hours passed after that, but I barely noticed. I didn't touch my phone again. I didn't speak. I didn't even sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. Every word, every moment, every second, trying to understand where everything went wrong. But no matter how many times I went over it, the ending stayed the same. Stay away from us. Those 4 words didn't just create distance. They ended something. Something I thought would last forever. The silence that changed me. The days after that message felt unreal. I was still lying in the hospital bed, but it no longer felt like a place of healing. It felt like a place where everything I believed in had quietly fallen apart. My body was recovering. Slowly. Painfully. But my heart? It felt heavier with each passing hour. The doctors came and went, checking my injuries, adjusting medications, telling me I was getting better. But they didn't see the truth. They didn't see the part of me that wasn't healing. No one visited. Not once. Every time footsteps passed my room, I found myself turning my head slightly, hoping, just hoping, it might be him. Maybe he would walk in. Maybe he would say it was all a misunderstanding. Maybe he would finally ask if I was okay. But he never came. At some point, I stopped checking my phone. Because I already knew. There would be nothing there. The silence was louder than any argument. It said more than words ever could. When the doctor finally told me I'd be discharged soon, I didn't feel relieved. I felt lost. Because leaving the hospital meant going back to a life that didn't feel the same anymore. The day I left, I walked out slowly. Each step reminded me of that night. The fall. The pain. The moment everything changed. But the hardest part wasn't the physical pain. It was the emptiness. I went home to a place that suddenly felt unfamiliar. Quiet. Cold. Alone. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone again. I don't know why. Maybe a part of me was still hoping. Still waiting. Still believing he might reach out. But deep down, I knew he wouldn't. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into something heavier. The questions started to creep in. Late at night. In the silence. When there was nothing to distract me. Was it my fault? Did I say something wrong? Could I have stopped it? I replayed that night over and over again in my mind. Every word. Every reaction. Every second. Trying to find the moment where I could have changed the outcome. But no matter how many times I went back, the ending stayed the same. And slowly, painfully, I began to understand something. This wasn't about one argument. This wasn't about one mistake. This was about choice. He chose her. And that realization broke something inside me. Not in a loud, dramatic way. But quietly. Deeply. Permanently. One night, I found myself staring at the mirror. I looked tired. Different. Like I was looking at someone I didn't fully recognize anymore. And that's when it hit me. I had spent so much time trying to understand why they hurt me, that I forgot to ask myself something more important. Why am I still holding on to people who let me go so easily? That question stayed with me. At first, it hurt. Because the answer wasn't easy to accept. But over time, it became something else. Clarity. I started to see things differently. I stopped waiting for messages that would never come. I stopped replaying moments that I couldn't change. I stopped blaming myself for someone else's actions. And slowly, very slowly, I started to let go. Not all at once. Not easily. But piece by piece. The pain didn't disappear. But it changed. It stopped controlling me. I began focusing on small things. Getting through the day. Taking care of myself. Finding moments of peace in the silence that once felt unbearable. And one day, I realized something had shifted. I wasn't waiting anymore. That part of me, the one that kept hoping, kept reaching, kept holding on. It was finally quiet. Not because I stopped caring, but because I finally understood. Some people don't deserve the version of you that keeps forgiving them. And that realization changed everything.